Hey guys, what's going on? Jebb here, and in today's video we're going to be talking about Ethereum, and specifically we're going to be doing some technical analysis on the Ethereum over US dollar and the Ethereum over Bitcoin chart, because there is something very important on the Ethereum chart that we're going to need to look at today, a very important formation that we're going to want to look at that could predict Ethereum going back to about $900 to $1,000 within the next couple of months if it does break bullish, as it looks like it may be about to in just the next couple of hours. We'll see if this video winds up similar to the one where I called the Bitcoin breakout. That'd be funny. But we're also going to be talking about EOS and doing some TA on EOS, because Ethereum and EOS are both competitors, of course. They're both smart contract, decentralized application blockchains. So they both are very large competitors. They are the two main smart contract platforms. Both of them up here in the top five collectively have close to two-thirds of 100 billion, that's a funny way of saying $66 billion market capitalization total. So we're going to be talking about both of these platforms, how they actually are moving valuation back and forth, and how the price action of each is affecting the other. So guys, if you enjoyed today's video, if you enjoy what we're talking about here today, I definitely recommend dropping a like and hitting that subscribe button, because we do cryptocurrency videos every single day here, guys. So let's get right into it. Ethereum is currently trading at around $540 with a market volume for the last 24 hours of close to $1.7 billion. That's quite nice to see. Ethereum tends to have about half of the volume of Bitcoin, which makes sense because it has about half of the market capitalization of Bitcoin. It did also pass 100 million Ethereum about a month ago, I want to say now. We did, the price action for Bitcoin, or for Ethereum, excuse me, is up about 0.5% in the last 24 hours. And as we can see, the daily price graph, the 7-day price graph rather, has been gradually trending upwards and matching the rest of the market. The markets are not as lined up now because we've had our bottom, I do believe. I've talked about in the past how when markets all line up here on the 7-day graph, that normally means that we're at either the top or the bottom, the climax of the market, and I do believe we're past that now. But Ethereum has been gradually trending upwards from its lows in the $400 region about a week ago. Let's jump over here to the chart, and we're going to talk about the main pattern that we're going to be talking about today, and that would be this consolidation pattern. Now, I did make a video very similar to this before, and actually we were talking about this consolidation pattern right here, and Ethereum actually broke bearish out of it. But it's looking like, since we can reestablish this, and we can call this a consolidation pattern again, a symmetrical triangle consolidation pattern, it looks like Ethereum may be about to break out of it. If we come here on the chart, we can see that Ethereum on the day chart is running up to meet this downtrend that's been under for so many days, close to a month now, a little over a month actually. And as you can see, it looks like we're going to break out of it within the next couple of hours. It would be funny if I did the same thing that we did on the Bitcoin video. I already mentioned that at the beginning of the video though. If we don't get resistance here, we could very easily see Ethereum break out of this and go up to like $600, $650 in the next couple of days. We could see a very similar pattern to what happened on Bitcoin. As we see here, Bitcoin was in a consolidation pattern. I made a video literally an hour before this broke out. It broke out, ran up like 5%, and then we've been trading up here a little bit higher from where we initially broke out. And I expect the same thing is probably about to happen with Ethereum. If we do manage to get a close on like the 4-hour or the day chart above this downtrend, that is going to signal a definitive breakout for this pattern. Now let's talk about how you can trade this pattern. I've talked about this before. I talked about this on the Bitcoin symmetrical triangle pattern that subsequently broke out, but I want to talk about how you can trade this one as well for some of you guys who may not have seen that video. That was quite a funny video. Go ahead and click up here if you're interested in that video. But the way that you would want to trade this is that you would want to see Ethereum get above this downtrend, whichever way you define it. That's not too important. You can generally define this downtrend as looking something like this. I'm connecting this point, and the point we're on now. That's how I'm defining the downtrend. But you can most definitely define the downtrend as something like that or that. But I'm basically defining it here because we haven't really broken out of it yet. But when we do break out of it, that's when you want to set your buy order. Right about now, as I'm recording this video, I'm recording this video exactly 3 hours to the minute before it goes live. That's when I'm talking. It's 11 o'clock in the morning. It goes up at 2. So Ethereum does look like it's breaking out here. What you would want to do when you're trading this is look for a big green candlestick here down on, or a big green volume candle down here, so that we can signify, we can clarify, we can be sure that Ethereum is actually breaking out. And it does look like that's exactly what's happening right now. Ethereum could very well bounce off of this, and we could come down here and test $490 and retrace. We'll talk about that case in a second. But what I'm expecting to happen here is that Ethereum's going to get a couple of closes on the hour chart up above this, and we're probably going to see some whales come buying in, some people doing exactly what I'm talking about, waiting for a big volume candle, kind of like this one down here. If you can see this candle right there, that is basically what I'm talking about. That little candlestick right there, that green candle. People are waiting for a big volume candle to come in. Let's get a close above that, and then they're going to buy in. Because when you're buying into or shorting, whichever way you're going with a symmetrical triangle pattern, what you want to do is wait for a close above or below the actual trend line that you're breaking, and then wait for some volume to confirm that we're actually breaking out of it. So the places that you would want to buy would be like right here. If you're shorting it, you'd want to short it when we broke out right over here with a volume candle to match it. So this is a really interesting pattern, and another thing is that this does close in pretty soon. This pattern isn't going, oop, that's not what I meant. This pattern isn't going to last much longer, because even if we do get resistance on it now, it does actually close in on itself in about a week. So we're going to see Ethereum either break bullish or bearish out of this. It might not be a crazy move as we saw with the original one. We basically just reestablished the consolidation pattern. This was the original one that we made a video on, and we basically came down here and reestablished the consolidation pattern. But if we can get above this downtrend, that's definitely going to be a good thing for Ethereum. Let's talk about the price target for this and where that $900 to $1,000 figure that I posted at, or that I postulated at the beginning of the video comes from. With the symmetrical triangle pattern, I don't use this that often because I honestly don't always see that markets do this, and it's just not reliable enough for me to actually use this. But that being said, the way that people normally do predict the breakouts, the target prices for breakouts of triangle patterns, is that you would draw a line right here. There's going to be a video about symmetrical triangles up on Monday, so guys, watch out for that. I already have it recorded. It'll be up on Monday. I'm going on a trip, and that's going to be scheduled for one of the days I'm gone. But the way that you figure out the price target for a breakout pattern like this, or for a consolidation pattern like this, it's not that, is that you draw a vertical line right here from the first place that both of these trend lines cross each other. If you're a math student, if you do the double line test and then it's not a function, then that's basically where you draw that. I haven't been in math in a long time, but I do remember that much. But then you would take this line and you bring it over here to where you would break out, and then the top of this line up here would be where your price target would be. So for this, our price target would be in between $900 and $1,000. Generally, it's not always going to be perfect. We could go up to $800. We could go up to $1,100. We could go up to only $700. So I'm not a huge fan of the price target thing, but you can generally expect for a breakout to move about that far. So we are looking for Ethereum to go in between about $800 to $1,000 in the next month or so if we do break out of this, and if the market does continue to go in the right direction, if we don't see any bad news on Ethereum, etc. Let's also talk about Ethereum over Bitcoin very quickly, because Ethereum over Bitcoin is in a very similar pattern. As you can see, you can draw this like this or like this. I'm going to draw it somewhere around there, and it does look like we're about to get a breakout here on Ethereum over Bitcoin. Ethereum over US dollar, this chart also does have a very good history of obeying the mechanics of triangle patterns. As we can see, for the second half of 2018, Ethereum was in an ascending triangle pattern with a flat top here and a rising bottom of support. That is an ascending triangle pattern, and as we can see, we broke resistance at $400, which we had a double top on, ran all the way to $1,400 within a couple of months. Now granted, the entire market was doing extremely well, so you would expect Ethereum to run that quickly. I'm not saying we're going to see the same thing happen here, but Ethereum over US dollar does have a very well-established history of breaking out in accordance with triangle patterns. Let's do a little bit of technical analysis on EOS as well. EOS is also kind of in a consolidation pattern. I'm not too fond of this pattern that I've drawn here. It's just kind of messy. We'll see what happens. If we get support down here on this uptrend, then that's going to be great, but I'm not totally convinced that we will. Right now, if we were to see a little jump up here, like a little green candlestick, I would probably buy into EOS here. But the thing about EOS is that it's just generally been trending downwards. Right over here was basically the day that we said that the EOS mainnet was going to launch, and because of the process by which EOS mainnet has to launch, it took about 2 weeks for it to actually launch, and right around the time that it did, Bitcoin started falling off a cliff, and then EOS did as well. So EOS actually managed to tank right after its mainnet actually launched, and you're actually able to use the mainnet. So EOS has not been doing very well after its actual launch and after it's actually up and running like a lot of people thought it was going to be, partially due to market conditions, partially due to other news factors. But the fact is, a lot of the valuation that we thought was going into EOS is not going into EOS, and it has to go somewhere. It could go back into people's pockets in the form of US dollars, but some of it, I believe, is flowing into Ethereum. Over the last couple of days, Ethereum's been doing quite well, and EOS has not. One thing to remember is that these are on two different timescales. Now they're both on day chart. In the last couple of days, EOS has been gradually losing value over Bitcoin, and Ethereum has gradually been gaining value over dollars and over Bitcoin. As we can see, a nice little spike here. So I do believe that we're probably about to see a big move on Ethereum. Tell me in the comments down below if you think it's going to be a bullish or a bearish move. I think it's going to be a bullish move, and I think it's going to happen sooner than we believe. Similar to Bitcoin, whenever Ethereum comes down here and hits this 30 level on the RSI, we typically do see a rally or a bull run, whichever one. But normally we do see some kind of green movement over the next couple of days and weeks, and we did just hit 30 back here about a week ago, and we haven't really seen the rally that would normally follow a bottom like that. We saw it back here, we saw it back here, we saw it way back here. If we come all the way back here, we saw it back here when Ethereum ran down to $200. I think so. I think I said back here like 3 times just then. But anyway, tell me in the comments if you guys believe that Ethereum is going to break out. Are you going to trade this in the way I laid out? Are you going to wait for that candlestick, that big volume climax to come in and for that big candlestick to start forming and ride that? Or are you going to short this? What are you guys going to do? I want to know your comments. I want to know what you're going to do in the comment section down below. I'm very interested to hear. But guys, that's going to wrap it up for this video. If you are interested, I highly recommend signing up for Binance. There's a link to do so in the description down below. Great cryptocurrency exchange, by far my favorite in the industry. I believe they do the most trading volume of any cryptocurrency exchange on the market, and it's the one I personally use. Also, if you're interested, there's a link to sign up for Coinbase down there. If you spend over $100 in one transaction with that link from signing up on Coinbase, you'll get $10 for free. So there you go. If you guys are looking for a fiat to crypto gateway, that's a great way to get into crypto. But anyway, guys, that's going to be it for this video. I want to thank each and every single one of you for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.